If you want to increase your value in the marketplace and have greater influence over your career and the outcomes that you create for your own life, then listen very carefully. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations. Over the years, I've adapted my behavior to create a certain type of value for my clients where I'm able to solve very big and complex problems. Now, you can do the same. And if you position yourself so that you are knowledgeable in a specific subject matter area, so you're a subject matter expert, and you communicate your value in that area by demonstration and good work, you very often will be called upon. I'm often called upon by directors and senior managers and executives to be asked questions about my specific area of expertise, which is operational risk, and within that operational risk, the activities of business process. And it's very helpful. It does have drawbacks, though. The key thing to understand is that when there's a fire in a business and there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of frustration, human behavior has a couple defects. So one, someone with a strong personality that kind of takes charge in today's culture is often feared. People are often afraid of this person. And they don't even have to take charge in an abusive way or a demanding way. It's kind of like a firefighter showing up to an accident. They don't ask permission. They just step in, pull the person out of the vehicle, and start doing first aid. So in a workplace, let's say there's been a discussion going back and forth by email. The person who picks up the phone and makes a couple phone calls to figure out what's going on, it really does bring this solution forward. It really does solve the problem, but there's a high probability that someone in that chain of communications is going to be upset, confused. Maybe they might be concerned why you made the call. Maybe you're in a junior level position or even a senior level position, and you call some executive to say, hey, I just want to clarify. I noticed that there's a conversation going back and forth, and I want to clarify a few points so that we can get to the bottom of this. Now, that executive appreciates it, but when your manager finds out, when your peers find out that you called the big boss to get some clarification, you've actually just jumped over people's heads. Now, you didn't do it intentionally, and you put yourself in the right place to solve the problem. Because whenever there's a back and forth email conversation and people are confused about what's going on and people are just shooting off emails and carbon copying people, that telephone call is really what is necessary to narrow down and focus on the target solution. Anytime you have a conflict or frustration, you feel like your office is chaotic, you want to look at the key milestones and the key deliverables. If you can get the key milestones achieved in a timely manner and you can get those deliverables achieved in a timely manner, a lot of that frustration of that back and forth will just melt away. Plus, you'll be moving the organization forward with its objectives because they took the time to create the milestones and they took the time to define deliverables. And then if the system's chaotic and, you could ask the question, well, what are we trying to achieve here? So there have been times where I've either received a call, so my name was put up as someone to talk to about a certain situation. I receive a phone call. It's a senior level person, a director person. I'm super polite because this person's like 4 levels up. And they asked me to do them a favor. So great, I'll do you a favor. Here's what you're asking for. Here's my position on what's going on. Would you like to present it or would you like me to present it? And very often, this is how you solve problems. But again, there are risks. I am not always equipped to handle the risk. If there's a bunch of people going back and forth on a conversation and they're yelling at each other and sometimes there's profanity and it's just a very hectic conversation, sometimes I'll go ahead and ping a senior level person on the call, or I'll ping the moderator of the call or whoever scheduled the call, and I'll say, hey, is this necessary? ? Or WTF ? And then sometimes they'll say to me, hey, ask me a question. Because we need a break. If you're in an emotional state where everything's high and hot and people are up in each other's faces, sometimes a simple question can be a distraction. So when I was moderating or facilitating large meetings with engineers, sometimes things would go down a tangent and I was taking notes. So I'd say, hold on a second, wait a second. Let me get that down on paper. Is this what you said? That was enough to get it focused back on the key conversation, because I could literally read off the agenda and they'll say, no, I didn't say that, but let's get back on topic. There's a way of interacting with people. And very often, either when people find out that you're using these techniques, sometimes they're upset. They feel like it's manipulation. But ultimately, when you're in a business environment, it is about solving problems. It's not about the next meeting. It's not about, kumbaya. It's about, let's solve the problems at hand so that people don't have to work all weekend. Very often folks are frustrated because they're putting in 90-hour weeks. They've been passed over for promotions. They have good ideas, but they keep getting shouted down. They're getting ignored. And finally, when an opportunity comes up, they're so excited to share that they have this verbal vomit. They just blah, 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 blah. And I'm guilty of it as well at times. But again, if you can focus back on the milestone and the deliverables, why are we having this meeting today? What are we looking to achieve? And you'll start to get recognized, and people will start coming to you as a decision maker or as somebody who can solve problems. And there is a point where the background of your experiences are going to go beyond the position that you're in. And let me explain this real carefully. You could be in a job solving big problems, and you can outgrow that job. You could have an environment that's a lot of stress. It's everyday work. It's very focused. It's very intense. And you could forget to be looking for that next position. So in your own life, you've got to be able to stop the chaos. And it could be a distracting question, which is, where's the profit in this? So you're at work, you're enjoying your job, you love your job, you're getting the results that you're looking for. Where's the profit in this? Well, even if you just enjoy your job, if it doesn't have a value to you and your family, then you can't be there anymore. You might love your job, but if it's taking 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, including your commute, not just being in the office, but your commute as well, and it's taken away from the relationship with your family members, then ultimately you are in a position where you've got to say, where's the profit in this? Or whatever your question is. And then, again, move towards the milestones and deliverables. And the other side, too, if you hate your job and everything's a fire and there's constant problems. I heard someone ask on an executive meeting about we've had these big initiatives. And then as soon as we finish that big initiative, the next initiative comes in and it's late. And so you're immediately fire to fire to fire. That actually wears people out. I had the fire department example. A lot of folks that are first responders, it wears them out over time. And if they're not able to properly manage that, seeing people, a friend of the family was talking about, there's a guy's face was stuck in the windshield and he had to peel the guy out of the windshield to see if he's still alive. And he was still alive, but his skin was on the windshield because the windshield was hot with fire when he hit the windshield, or it heated up or something after he hit the windshield. So he had to put that aside, solve the problem. But you could tell by the story that he still had a little wake up in the middle of the night worried about this stuff. The underlying perspective here, though, is you could put yourself into a position where you're so valuable, but that value starts to shine and people get jealous. Or that value starts to shine and you start overstepping your boundaries and now you've grown out of the position, but there isn't a place for you to go. You could be in a situation where some relationships are super strong and you're getting feedback and insights and opportunities, and it's far beyond the monetary value of the position. A lot of conditions will be in place, but again, it's about your personal development, your family's prosperity, your ability to make decisions. And it is easy to get stuck in these constant fires, to get stuck in the heat of the argument. Some people actually do like the argument. Some people like the controversy. Some people like the control factors. To step back and look at yourself from a neutral perspective, some meditation, some prayer, some stepping away into nature, turning off the devices, walking away and actually having a weekend. These things are necessary as a pattern interrupt. That's like that little question. They got to answer the question that gets you back on track for where you want to be. Now, a lot of what we talk about here has to do with business relationships, because that compromise of accepting a difficult situation and just giving it another year. A lot of these bankers on Wall Street are quitting like crazy because even though they earn $300,000, $400,000 a year, they're getting burned out. And there's 5 more waiting in the wings. And as long as they're performing, they're staying. High-end sales folks are the same way. As long as you're performing, you're staying. But as soon as you stop performing, they're going to throw you out the door. But it's either one of those things where you're going to die in the office one day, they're going to fire you because a young upstart takes over your position, or you're simply just going to burn out. Well, none of those seem like good options. So again, stepping back, focusing on deliverables. You might have deliverables that are fires one after another. Let's break those down into milestones so we can celebrate some successes on the way to the results. You want to put yourself in a position where you're a subject matter expert so you can focus in on your strengths and solve problems in areas where other people just don't have the capacity or skills. But you also want to recognize, again, the relationship part of those individuals that are subject matter experts that can help you as well. Ultimately, the underlying perspective here is to drive forward for your outcomes, not for the business's outcomes, because in the business, you are disposable. And if they use you up and throw you out, there will be other people to take the move. Actually, by the way, most of the time that people get in these arguments and there's a lot of heated stuff, it's because you've had people attrition over time. And then the company just didn't do its workforce management well to get appropriate capacity. Long story short is that it's really your decision. You've got to break the pattern. You've got to get focused on a plan. And if you need help doing these types of things, you can visit us at www.insidestrategicrelations.com to ask your questions. There's a number of programs about goal setting and outcome management and these types of things that deliver the underlying results that are necessary, that create those results that you can be proud of, that feeling of control, that ability to make decisions and stick with them, the ability to level up in life despite what the economy does, despite what the government does. These are things that we help you do. I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations, where we help you create and keep profitable customers and transform business relationships into profits guaranteed. Thanks for listening.